It's a 13-6 win for the side of Moy Shopify. Welcome back, everybody, to VALORANT Challengers North America. And we just got the chance to see that map of Icebox where towards the beginning was a 7-5 over. We thought it was going to maybe continue to be close, but that defensive side for TSM, they only got one round.
Yeah, look, I think Poised is able to have a great map for TSM. I think like the lurks on Killjoy were really effective, and there's a lot of great situations where Poised is holding people up inside kitchen and, you know, driving wedges between like the attacking players. But that's it. That's really the only highlight I think you could really count on for TSM. Sim's not able to do much on the Reyna, whereas Mata is so active early on in these rounds, knowing he can't get punished for going for these really aggressive peaks in order to get these first kills, because dismiss is a thing. And he ends up going 8-3 over the course of the map. So he's on track for another, you know, standard Mata game. Somewhere between like +4 and +8 first kill, first death is where he's been so far. And he's continuing to deliver for this team.
Yeah, it is looking great, especially when you get that 13-6, when you think it's going to be close and you shut down every single opportunity of those retakes that we got the chance to see, at least the attempt for on the side of TSM and Moy Shopify. I feel like they look back on form, at least with this map, with the agents, with the double Reyna, which we honestly don't really get the chance to see very often shift. So this is great. I don't know how much is going to convert into that second map, but I feel like it's a good sign.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the thing about it, you know, and maybe this is just on my personal take, this just felt more like the MXS that we knew from the first half of Challengers this year. You know, getting aggressive, finding ways to just know when your triggers are going to be called, pop a flash, hit it with a double swing. And it's not even just one flash, it's like 5 flashes. So that's what they want. They want to be able to take gunfights on their terms. And for TSM on the other side, they were trying to control the map on their terms, but MXS just didn't care. They're going to throw a flash through dark cover. They're going to chow it with everybody. And that's just what MXS does best. I mean, their post-plant setups, great. Their retake abilities, awesome. They able to find 5 on the retake versus TSM, and they only drop 1 post-plant when they're on the offensive side. That just felt like such a stereotypical and categorical MXS map where they're playing the double initiators, they're finding value with flashes, and they're reaping the benefits of it so darn quickly. Great map for MXS.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that half of these first kills from TSM came from their bloody Killjoy player. Poised is like able to surge up early on, you know, some of these like attacking rounds and punish like defensive rotations and get in there, which was really good. It's a great sign. But MXS basically, you know, almost what? You know, 2/3 of the rounds of this game play at a player advantage, and they convert pretty effectively on that 5v4 rate here. You know, can't really hold anything against them here. I think if you are going to play Reyna on this Icebox, you really need to be super active in those early rounds and actually make use of those dismisses. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to find yourself slowly getting choked out of map control.
Yeah, and we got to see, this is honestly super uncharacteristic for Sim. Sim is always a guy that's going triple positive and getting the value that the team needs and setting up the team for success in so many of these early rounds. When you're playing that Reyna, it denies the opportunity that where we all often see Sim finding success with the operator. You're playing a lot more with the rest of the team, with the flashes, and it was just not something that was working out at all for that defensive side. And as you said, it was Poised the one finding the most value, and it was just pretty much every time that Moy Shopify wanted to take that fight to Poised. So it is, you know, trying to find the answer in that way. But Mata, of course, as you guys mentioning, was the biggest highlight of it. When you have to play the Reyna and Icebox, this is exactly what you have to do. Be like Mata, get those first kills, capitalize, take advantage of the dismiss that we see. That it is a lot faster, and as Shift as well was saying, work out with, you know, the flashes that we see for Reyna, for Gecko, for KO. I mean, you got everything to work around. But as we head and get closer to the second map of Bind, I feel like things could also change. I like this answer for Moy Shopify, but when we go into Bind, this is a map, Uber, that we've seen for TSM every single week.
Yeah, I mean, they want to play it, and they've had a lot of success with it, right? They had a overtime loss to Oxygen, but outside of that, they've been really, really solid on it. And again, I think it was early June, they started playing the Deadlock here on this map. And, you know, it's the same concept as what we've seen from her on Lotus as well. Also, the fact that you can set up B-Long with players, right? Signal presence, and then set your sonic sensors up in hookah and have a player that's anchored on the B side to punish or play off of that util. You are funneling players into your util on defense, and then on offense, you have these very powerful walls and post-plant setups that are really hard for defenders to break into, because I look at A-site bind a lot like A-site bind on Haven, right? It's really hard to get back into if you've given up full control of it, especially if one of those routes is covered up by a wall that you usually have to expose yourself to like an easy sight line in order to break. Like you can't just, you know, shoot it from around a corner. You have to get out there and have someone shoot it for you. So it's really annoying to get through.
And it's only been 1 week, and we've seen, again, for TSM, we've seen it every single time. Let's go into the map select. Let's visualize what we're talking about, because we just saw the map of Icebox. We're going into Vine. And again, yeah, TSM have played it every week 1 to 4. For Moist Shopify, it's been kind of a back and forth in every single way that I can mean that. And is, you know, they've been winning, losing, back and forth. But that map of Vine, they're keeping it simple over, as you were mentioning a little bit. And so I feel like there's a chance for them to bring something new on that map as well, Shift.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this is one of those situations where we kind of know what we're going to get here. I think in terms of the compositions, we know that the Deadlock is likely going to be a pick. It just comes down to this TSM still trust that, considering that MXS are probably going to hit them with something very similar in terms of their ability to pop double initiator. It's, again, very stock for them. I know, Uber, you're trying to get in there to give your own 2 cents on it, but I think Deadlock, if they do pull it here for TSM, is going to be under a lot of stress based on the fact that we expect to see a Gecko and a Sky.
I think that what I really enjoyed from this team was actually they had a really close game against Dark Zero back in week 2, and it wasn't the kind of game where Marto just gets like a billion first kills, right? That's not the way that, you know, MXS were able to make that game quite close. Their attacking rounds were just really, really clean, very solid. So I think this is a good map for MXS. I think it's TSM's best map that they have in the pool right now, but I still expect a really close game. I think it'll be messy is what I said to you guys in the break. I don't think it'll necessarily be one-sided at all here. But for TSM, if like this is the map to me, an inflection point now at the end of this stage. If they are the real deal, if they are going to be a factor in that Group B, they win this map.
And this is also the last chance for the teams to try to end positive for what is this second split that we're watching right now. So you need to get this win. You need to get the win of that week number 6. And with the 2 teams being 2-2, you need to get these wins. You need to end up and get the hang of it, because then we have Ascension. Then you're trying to make it to the tier 1, and at least you want to leave a good impression. So let's jump into the Zippo Agent Select. Let's see if there's going to be anything new for the 2 teams. We talked about the Deadlock that TSM has been playing, and they're going to continue to play this. There's a slight change, it seems like. There's a fade for Flyer on the side of Moist Shopify, so a slight change here that I like to see. Casters, take it away.
Thank you very much, Dan Dryad. Yeah, okay, so you could call this a modernization maybe of the composition for MXS. It's actually comp that 100 Thieves makes look really, really good on this map. They get a ton of value from it, so I do like the fade pickup here, of course, alongside the Brock. And on TSM's side, right, we do see a Proto once again going for the Deadlock. It's very much a similar composition for them here. So no reason to expect TSM to have any real struggles on this map.
You know, I mean, you're absolutely right. When we talked about this at the top of the whole show, is that this map pool is pretty even across the board. So there's definitely opportunities here for both squads. I think it just, again, is one of those situations that with the map pool being as even as it is, we're seeing kind of what breaks first here. You know, we've got the double initiator still in play. The fade is being brought out, though, which is a little bit of a surprise, to be sure. But I think the thing about it is it's still the same identity here, largely speaking, for what both these 2 teams want to do. It just comes down to, will there be the same breaking points that we had from before, especially with things like the Deadlock compared to the Viper. That may be where all of this battle is determined, considering that we still have essentially a mirror matchup across the board, save those 2.
Bear in mind, the Viper wall uptime is more limited now.
True.
It's still a standard wall sort of thrown out. We've actually seen some teams throw like a wall diagonally across the A side to cover off U-Haul and vents. Seen some variations there, but this is the standard look, albeit without the... It does have the poison orb at the bottom there as well, so very much the same setup now as it's a passive showers hold. But for TSM, they, again, maybe making some noise. I'm not sure they're worried about whatever's in hookah, but there is the sonic sensor plates there to play off of them.
It's very true. And you know, the thing about that, you know, the sensor drones, I feel like just generally speaking, unless you're really congesting the space and forcing players to kind of lose track of them, they don't find a tremendous amount of value, especially when you're trying to enter into like this hookah drop-in position, for instance. So I think I'll be curious to see if TSM can, again, just control the tempo of how these rounds are going to be played and force MXS to be in the worst positions possible. Interesting satchel up and over the top of the truck. Won't really do too much to deter the plant. And, ooh, first blood good for Sim. Lots of damage to follow up, though, and Flya steps right up to take down 2.
I like the idea. There's actually a wall there stopping any pushing towards U-Haul, or at least there was one. That has now gone down as... Okay, Broken Flyer, they're combining over towards vents. I like, yeah, TSM being able to cut off one angle of approach and actually look over towards showers and short primarily. I like the idea. They get doubled up on. And Guimont brought down pretty quickly. Looks like MXS are picking up with their left-off shift.
Yeah. I mean, the pistols have always been great for MXS, but it's just the fashion of how they win it out. It just feels like they would normally play a gun round. You get up, get aggressive, use those initiators to get extra space, make the life super comfortable on the initial plant, and then you can make a decision. After the plant comes down, do we want to hold this post plant aggressively, or do we not like the look of it, and do we want to just back off and just allow all of our utility to kind of win out the day in the post plant? They've been one of the more efficient squads over the course of Challengers when it comes to executing and successfully converting off of spike plants, and that continues to be the case, whether it be pistols, half-buys, or rifles. No antics here for TSM, just the one sheriff upgrade and a little bit of a gamble stack in East. They're at least early to get over towards B. It's just all for the orb, though, so things will stay pretty neutral.
These walls are so troll, especially when your opponents are on pistols. Getting here to B long now requires MXS to reveal themselves to a great degree. TSM will look to just play behind that. That wall is just for info.
Little time and space right here to see if TSM get antsy. Maybe try to find a first.
Here. He's seen everything.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, even though that this is good info for TSM, I just don't know if they're really going to be able to find the value with just classics, right? I mean, Sim would have to catch somebody off guard. Smoke will go down just to block off Hookah. It gives a little bit of separation, but this MXS hit, the All-Buck just breaking things through, and whoa, good grab that comes out. That stops and gets one in the mix. Now the flank's on the way from Sim.
Still, though, two Vandals ready to go to work. They're stimmed up for the time being. Eventually, Sim is rewarded for his patience. A very long flank around the map, and here comes the pinch on MXS. They've got to break through this now. Guiding Light catches Vic, but he turns it adequately and finds 4 in the round. And MXS did all of that without stepping out of Octagon.
That's exactly. Well, part of it is they weren't allowed to. There's a great mesh field coming down to stop everything in place. But yeah, I think it's just one of those rounds that, you know, for TSM, you're just trying to do what you can with what you have available, which is just classics. And even though the initial is decent, plus Flya kind of locked into place, it's just the weapons aren't good enough to swing through that. Plus, there's also, again, the conversation point of, sure, you get the lockdown from Deadlock, but you didn't have anyone nearby to help Flash to actually confirm a second peek. You're just hoping you can trap multiple players and get freebies. So that could be something to keep an eye on in the future, as TSM going to get aggressive here over through A. It's telegraphed, though, so Showers control will be left available for TSM to take freely, and MXS will have to play retake towards that position.
That's going to get re-cleared right now by a Prowler, though. So MXS are really proactive, actually, in re-establishing their claim to Showers at the very least. This will keep a player extra for TSM over at the side. But 7 explodes here through the TP. It's just one. Sim, though, able to capitalize. Coming through behind him. Now going to be trapped in here. Mosh pit, a little awkward. That really is just the right size to cover the TP, but a Proto is there. And push out of Hookah to claim Brook. 2 versus 4, spike down in mid being recovered, but look how deep through Showers MXS have gotten. There is an opportunity here.
That's the thing, is this lurk is not a lurk anymore. It is just forward gameplay. And if Otoshima can just hold on towards Halls here, that might be enough. Trailblazer out just to make sure he's not holding aggressively. Snakebite to follow, still holding the angle bold. And that'll be enough for the shutdown. Fly getting the read that there is a transition over. We'll just try to gut check things back over towards B, but yeah, this will be a very difficult post plant for him to hold with just a haunt.
The Sonic sensor placed far enough at the back of the room that it just tickles Flyer. He's not affected by it whatsoever. He does set it off, and there's that. And Sim doesn't miss when he comes through. To MXS here on their first spy, keeping 3 of those weapons. Not too shabby at all. Rather, TSM get the defuse here now and get on the board.
I love explosions.
Okay. Clean. I think that's the bigger part about it, too. And granted, it is just a bonus, so it doesn't really show the full intention of what MXS are trying to do, but hey, you stop, again, that proclivity of them trying to get aggressive. That's, I think, the biggest point about this. And TSM are going to have the ability to contest a little bit more aggressively now, not only off the fact that you could kind of force the choke points that you want to battle with a Proto playing on the Deadlock, but you also have double initiator of your own, so Poise can be good in hunting out information, and then 7 could just keep doing the Gecko thing that we often see. So there's a lot of opportunity here for TSM to kind of beat MXS in their own play style. The question will just be, how much value can Fly continue to find early, especially with this fade, because so far these Prowlers have gotten a lot of early space, whether that be here in Showers or in particular that first pistol is over towards the middle of the map and over towards this long B position. That seems to be kind of the focus for MXS, to play on the outsides of the map.
And I guess the reward for that is to keep an extra player at A once the action at B happens, right? Because they don't know. I mean, the defenders haven't re-cleared showers after the Hawk came through, the Prowler rather. But they wall it off. So that has a similar effect in that they'll have a little bit of early warning. Another Prowler here, but the Prowler doesn't do a whole lot because the wall is still up. So, TSM don't feel the need to move. Otoshima has gotten egregiously deep here, and Sim's going to win it out just as the wall comes down. Oh, we wish for old Viper sometimes. I know, Odorous.
There.
And that's a good call here for TSM, knowing that this is going to be a B hit off of that. It's just a flat-out lurk for Otoshima, trying to isolate, catch someone by himself. Doesn't really work out for one. Good utility for TSM. The Sevens Dizzy takes all the focus away from MXS on this approach in towards the site. Kills are pretty evenly exchanged, but the difference maker is Sim does have a showstopper if things get weird here in the back.
Mana quite deep. Will be aware of a photo in a moment. Gonna challenge him inside his smoke. Wins it out. Some frantic spray here. Mana won't be ready though for this swing from spawn, so Sim's able to get through. It's still a 2 versus 2. Showstopper online though.
Yep.
Gonna be blocked instantly. Sim has no satchel to play off. Just walk up, jump around a little bit. Gonna be traded out with Flyer. It's gonna be poised. Who can end the round here and there? Again, costly one for TSM after only maintaining 3 of those weapons from their initial buy.
Yeah, but you take that. And that got almost, again, too close for comfort, because Poise is doing a great job staying alive on site. He still had a Guardian as well, or putting a flash to play off of. But Sim initially, I think, kind of misses the blast pack play, and you start to sweat a touch like, whoa, this might not work out. But yeah, Poise, good to keep his life over towards container. The showstopper, of course, hits at long range, but that is mostly important, I think, off the fact that Poise stays alive as long as he does inside the site. And now you've got an operator in play for Sim, with MXS going back to a little bit more of a limited buy. Couple of Guardians, Stinger, Bulldog, Sheriff, and that usually means that MXS are going to try to surprise you with something quick. Sim, though, going to deny the play through showers, and should be pretty aware that there could be a play over here towards U-Haul as well.
Deadlock util signals the expectation of a fast A hit. It's pretty high pace, in fairness. Wall thrown up there, and Wingman wasn't going to be able to get through, but Vic held the angle to take the operator down. Flyer moves in behind the space that he just made. Spike in hand of the Fade. A very safe plant here.
Yep.
Rourke now sparing a thought for the flank, but it's a little early for that. Rash, though, looks to re-establish some control on the site here. Won't see much on the orbital crack. Will force the Gecko away. Leaves Poise essentially stranded out here on the site, though. He has backup from Tower, but he's committed now.
You got a post-plant molly here from Vic as well. That's the old key for MXS is, can you keep Vic alive in this corner and eventually use it to try to deter? There's the retake attempt. 7 Brock go evenly. Poise trying to swing things back into the favor of TSM.
Poise is pretty nasty. He's played so well, but he's a Thrash. Brock again, winning a 1v1 to Thrash. Unconscionable. He's done it again. Oh, the humanity, Poise. I feel for you. Rourke finds another one here. And it's a Zippo clutch for the attackers.
That's so mixy, man. I mean, legitimately, I think if you're looking at that from MXS, you really didn't want to spend the orbital strike when you did, but it didn't feel like there's much of a choice. 7 pops the retake Thrash, and you say, oh, we got to hold on. Where is he? Can I possibly catch him while he's trying to operate it? It doesn't fully work out, but it does separate the defense enough to allow Brock to regain his Thrash and get the reset off. I think also, most importantly, Vic, who's kind of stuck over towards U-Haul, is allowed to stay alive for as long as he does, playing inside, because the entire retake comes through the front of the site. And hold on here, Mitch. We're going to get a very gut check call here for the defense on pistols, trying to flood through mid.
Oh, Money doesn't see much. Kimon swings, and there's nothing to accompany it, apparently. Mana with the Sim sprays it down. It's going to be similarly finding one. The rest of MXS were caught inside a grab net at the time, but they pick themselves up and get to work.
Oh, man.
Pickaxe is shouldered, and a quick round here for MXS.
I mean, those last shots from Vic are really impressive, or just really lucky, depending on how you want to look at it. Because flat out, he's just spamming through smoke and ends up finding, I think, 3 in the round. Yeah, so he's already halfway back to earning another orbital strike. But TSM trying to do something cheeky, as you often expect, with just pistols in hand. Nearly works out for them, but the unfortunate part about that was MXS were also trying to play through mid, so it's just kind of a bashing of the heads between rifles and pistols. And even though Sim makes it interesting with the initial connection plus the paint shells, doesn't lead to too much, although he is just one off of the next showstopper.
They got 3 guns out of MXS, crucially, so that keeps it at least on their economy here. They've just walked out into this. Sim and a Proto stand their ground. And back right away, because their job is essentially done. Now it's the remainder of MXS hoping to foray in towards A. They don't even really get to clear U-Haul with that Prowler, so they might need to spend extra utility doing so. Orotoshima just needs to raw check this. Another Prowler towards showers. That's cleared, apparently. The spike is down.
And this is still a very winnable 3v5. It just comes down to what kind of value are we going to get from the showstopper. That will likely be what's used initially to get back into sight, and then the orbital strike will clear out showers pretty much like this. But there is still a chance here if MXS can just stop Sim from popping off through U-Haul, they could still hold this.
Oh, Flyer, what? Oh, he took damage from the mosh pit. I don't know if he realized it was there. He wanted to move into U-Haul to retake that space after the orbital strike. He took like 80 damage from that. Devastating. Just broke now. TSM get this round back. Again, great start with that play at B long, but Flyer's going to wish he had a lot of that health back.
Yeah, I mean, he still goes 1 for 1, which is essentially all he's looking for in the first place. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The Mosh finding tons of value. And then if just after that, just a plethora of value from 7. Tossing the Dizzy up. The wall goes back up as well. Just completely separates things. So often the initial first 2 kills, all of the isolation around the back, absolutely perfect in the 5v3. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Fly does obviously want to try to keep his life a little while longer, but him taking out Sim in that moment, I'm sure is not going to feel terrible for him. But just too many numbers to deal with, too many flashes to deal with. TSM bring us back to within 1 with still a lot of tools available here with maybe an opportunity for them to get aggressive through this back showers position.
They're not set up for a fast hit, but it might be a satchel showstopper play to the side first. Grouped up here towards showers. Okay, something is afoot here. Flyer tries to keep him busy. Somehow the showstopper misses, but Marta's got to be there to find 2. That is dirty stuff. Flyer peeking into that re-clear util, knowing he could keep them interested. Sets it up for his raise. And now 2 players left for TSM, and they are, well, they've gone to Cancun for the weekend while the Flyers are taking over their home state.
That's just, again, the value of Flya, flat out. The Prowler able to read so much information, and as soon as you read that, hey, there's more than one player here, that's all that Mata needs to say bet. I mean, flat out, double blast pack gets around the play. You know that you're not going to be dealing with more than a 3-man stack over towards the A site, so you get the surround, you get the quick pinch, and TSM trying to play for some aggression through showers just gets completely countered, and that is just the value of the Fade. Flat out. You throw out a Prowler, you throw in a Haunt, you try to keep the defense interested, and they're stuck in a choke point where Mata just gets essentially a free round. That's just silly stuff. And a quick bounce back round for MXS puts TSM, limping into the next round, but it's still a lot of tools on the table for them. They still have a lot of ultimates that could very well swing this next round and get us back to more level terms.
Yeah, I mean, Annihilation here, they can mostly buy into this round. They're going to call a timeout now because, again, with key ultimates in play, they may want to make sure the sequencing here is nailed down pretty effectively. Vic had a great second half of that Icebox. They had, I think, like 8 deaths, 16 to 18 kills. Like that showstopper, by the way, doesn't even kill anyone. Just does a ton of damage.
Yeah.
And Flyer actually gets a kill 1v3. Like, come on. That is a huge part of why Mata's having to walk up there, because Flyer not only keeps him interested with that util and also says, yeah, all 3 of you need to look at me or I'm going to get more than 1 kill. That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. This is an important timeout for TSM. I mean, you've gotten great value from Sim. Like we talked about kind of in the pre-show, the difference between a Proto in this current stage of Valorant versus Sim has changed what TSM have tried to find value with. Back in the day, when Cypher had recently been buffed, before Deadlock was being played really at all, Proto was really carrying a lot of weight for TSM, especially when we had maps like Breeze in the pool. He is just such a lockdown artist on Cypher. But now that you don't have the ability to play him as much, and you're giving away things like not playing Viper here, you look towards your duelist to start doing a lot of the work. And so far, Sim he's been great in these first 2 maps. Just comes down to, can you start to find the value, especially as we get into post-plant situations, for the rest of this defense to find the same kind of success that he is, especially in the kill feed.
Nightfall to work with here for MXS. Been very pleased to get to 5 rounds here. Looking very, very good on this attack side in general. And again, it is Flyer who is the ice salesman here to our Alaskan friends on the A side. Somehow still able to make it work.
There's just not much that TSM could do besides hit these choke points. I mean, that's the whole point of playing a Deadlock, is that you congest something completely, and they're going to try to gamble that this is going to be a B hit from MXS. You're going to drop a late barrier mesh towards the Octagon if you see anything, and then the double sensors inside of Hookah will be the alarm system here for Sim, who is just going to play contact pretty much the whole way through. So offensive smokes are down. Sim's going to step up a touch because why not? He can. And the barrier mesh gets placed, and that just allows them to take that isolated peek. That works out perfectly. Absolutely flawless start here for TSM.
Yeah, they funnel the attackers into Hookah. Yeah, Sonic Sense doesn't find anything, but Sim probably a little bit better than one of those deployables in a fight. Here's a Nightfall, though. Poise pinged out there by the Horde. The location was so good and the smokes on the side made it actually really difficult for TSM to interact with that scan util. Marta getting one there would have been ridiculous. Two is just absurd. And now it's Sim and 7 with it all to do. And this Thrash looks a lot less appetizing.
I just don't even know if you can go for this unless Sim finds a pick here. Legitimately. I mean, you still have so many post-plant tools here for Vic. Already the molly's getting thrown. They do know where he's at, so that may be enough for them to start isolating U-Hauls and maybe throw out a Thrash here if you're 7 towards mid, but still, you got to get deep through mid. I just don't know how you do that with just these two players.
Time is short.
Yeah,
now Vic's going to be able to descend on Sim, with a back turn. He says, nope, we're out of here. Brock going to catch him anyway. Sim just pops up into the crosshair. Devastating. Another gun lost. And look at the money here for TSM. This could be backsliding pretty horrifically for them.
Wow. Not looking particularly great. And again, the start for that round is so good for TSM. It works exactly as you essentially expect it to. The double sensors is allowing enough space and time for Sim to essentially isolate, get the free first pick. You drop the barrier mesh behind, and all the defense can rotate over to A. But it's the absolutely ludicrous double that you get to top heaven that completely just throws it on its back. That is just a simple play for Mata that really should not have turned into anything you would have thought based on TSM's quick rotation over, but it works out, and now you're just down to 2 Vandals, a couple of the Sheriffs, and TSM are looking down the smoking gun of a 3-7 half to this point, unless they can find some sort of isolation. Mata's snuck in deep. He's by himself at the moment, but surely you check this if you're TSM.
For free, buddy! No way! Check hits! Mata with 2 again! Oh, buddy. Okay, still, even numbers. Kimon able to eventually get rid of the offending raise. But he's very, very low. And here comes Thrashy B. A Proto connected with that one. Kimon was looking to hold the angle, but Vic knows better. He checks it, comes through the stim, and hello, Sunshine. A Proto knocked out, and it's just 7 left. Again, no chance to make use of this Thrash at all. Wingman spot his position out, and Brock gets caught with util in his hand. Still. Post plant 2v1. 7 has a lot to do.
He's got everything though. Dizzy, Mosh, Wingman. He's got a ton of tools. Maybe an opportunity to still isolate. This could be a really good Mosh if it holds in the corner. It's going to give him a chance to isolate, but the counter from the Haunt plus still the post plant molly. Yeah, MXS could just back off and play time.
Mosh needed to bounce there, I think, more over towards the plant side itself. Thrash is fine in a 1v1. 1v2 though, you're going to get jumped on by the other player, and MXS get it done yet again. Once more, TSM find no opportunity to make use of those ultimates, and I just don't expect anyone to have pushed up behind the Viper wall, but this is Mata in a nutshell. He's always where you never expect him to be. That early proactivity puts him in spots that nobody is checking.
Yeah, I think the thing too on top of this is that round probably is set up differently for TSM if they have better weapons, but they're trying to overwhelm stack this angle through mid. So you don't check your corner because you're so invested on taking the long range battle through the wall at mid that Mata ends up essentially countering things out. And then, of course, the commitment of utility to make sure those weapons stay on the ground was what wins the round there from MXS, because you mentioned the stim beacon gets put through, a couple of smokes. TSM are trying to recover, doesn't work out. But interesting, how about this? Quick hit through hookah, but look at the full wrap from TSM. They are not fully going to be seen by the showstopper. Poise trying to go in for this, and a follow-up showstopper is perfect. Definitely a chance here for TSM to still hold.
7 health and he gets it done. That's massive. 2 kills off the showstopper, and Kimon wants to hold his ground with 5 HP back inside. Mata blinded up, and TSM win the most unlikely round in like the last 6 I think I've seen. And hey, they'll get him where they can take him.
Wow. That is a set of very fortunate circumstances, because it did look like for a second Mata had a jump, that there were players deep through B, not just in the octagon, but over towards B long. But TSM get through. Poised, the Seekers come out in a perfect moment. I think he also throws a really key flash towards the front side of hookah to end up getting more separation, and then Sim absolutely pops off. Showstopper for 2 is everything for TSM. Still a chance to get that crucial 5th round.
Plenty of money that'll work with here for MXS, and Mata opts for the scope weapon here. Decent idea. We have seen fairly high activity for TSM towards long at the start of these rounds, but likely there'll be a Sky Flash in play.
Where are you?
Instead, it's an easy one. It's free. Free, and then there's God-fearing country shift. Flyer's going to send that Prowler straight over towards... I wonder, does he see these? Yes, they're ready for an aggressive push-up, but Odorous, the double face doesn't work out.
Numbers are still really solid. in terms of how you could, you know, hold off on this hookah play. And as the barrier mesh gets destroyed, now you just hold on for a graph net. This should all just be about simply, when do I throw this? And when does Poise peek? There's the graph net. Poise should surely peek through the smoke for it. Yeah, really well done. 1 for 1's not bad, but the spike will be planted. Chance to still hold this if Mata can connect with the op. And he's actually swapped it out. Never mind.
Approto here in a decent spot, already pushed forward. This is a dirty angle to play. Mata doesn't really want to take his chances anyway. Operator, once again to hand. Proto is not going to move from this position, but Mata can't do a whole lot. It's really a matter of
one enemy remaining.
Biding at time. Yeah, Proto looks for a window. Speaking of windows, Brook's looking through one right now at 3 players. And they're able to swing that right up on him. Proto with yet another one, and TSM put 2 rounds together in a row. Not too shabby after how disastrous this half was looking for them.
Yeah, it's the ability to bounce back for TSM. They're adjusting really well, I will say. We saw it a little bit in Icebox. It got out of hand, of course, as we got deeper into the second half for the same reasons that it was kind of working against them in the first. But you can see the swing here. I mean, they're playing solid retake. I mean, after winning the bonus in the third plus the gun round in the fourth, it's a little bit, it's closer than it looks, right? I mean, I think that's the bigger part about it, because MXS are finding value on their executability, but TSM have found really good ways to get Proto value. The question's going to be, how much of that value can they find here? Playing up against MXS, who are likely going to want to play aggressive, challenge these spike plants, and not allow Proto to put together the fortification of the post plant. That's the key. Yeah. Can you get a clean early plant from 7, and can you reinforce it with Proto? Those are the 2 keys for TSM in this offensive half.
That early aggression from Mata, though, I want to see how it plays out when he's not on Reyna and not on Icebox. Can he interrupt these setups for TSM consistently? Glacial, speaking of Icebox, pace to start this round, though. TSM are hoping for something from this B-long stack, but MXS are all set up here, roasting marshmallows.
And this is just going to be down to, does TSM get any information before they commit, or are they just going to have to gut check call something? And if they end up playing this towards A, they're going to have the advantages here in terms of the numerical superiority. But the thing about this is, if they hard commit through mid, watch how fast this teleport play comes through for MXS to retake showers.
Pretty quick play here for TSM. And it will be the showers retake now. MXS take their time, and okay, they've been bamboozled. Quickly back towards B now. MXS's attention is drawn. Horde up for Flyer. Could be helpful midway through this set to get that info. Here it comes in response to the Dizzy. It's going to be destroyed straight away, but the swing on Sim is good. 7 also didn't know what hit him. Oh, it's awkward. They dropped to their deaths outside of hookah. One by one, toes held above the coals. And it's poised. Oh, man. TSM really needed this pistol shift.
MXS and pistols, man, it just feels like they've got it refigured out again. It's definitely been part of their success story in the past. I think especially last year, they were one of the best pistol teams in Challengers, but
10 seconds left.
Took them a little bit of figuring out here in this stage. Not to be fooled this round, though. And I think, again, that's one of those moments where if you're playing up against this TSM comp, don't give them any information. Force them to telegraph their hand. As soon as that happens, over towards the A site, you get that full teleport play through. It completely surprises. It forces TSM to have to wrap back, where, again, the ability to just completely congest them up so darn well, and a lot of that coming from Flya. His value has been unbelievable. 12, 9, and 8 assists, which may not sound like a ton, but when you compare the assist numbers to that of Vic, who's pretty much guaranteed assists every round, that's an impressive tally for Flya.
TSM rushed it there as well. They moved through the Viper Wall, got all of them hit by the vulnerable, and then got thrown into the mulcher. Awkward here. This is their map pick, and their bind has been pretty impeccable so far this stage. There's quick peeks here for Hiroshima. No one here to trade off this, so doesn't need to overheat. About to get awful busy. Sees one, backs away. That discipline, it's Shaolin monk level.
Well, early contact not going to result in too much besides Hiroshima backing off. And he'll just play backside elbow here. Perfectly fine position, but could possibly be overwhelmed, especially with how much utility could just come right through this B-long spot. So Proto's just making sure there's no rotate over. This is going to be a 4-man hit, and seeing if they can just outpower Otoshima and the rest of the crew, and the first shot is perfect.
Of course, they're going to be forced off that angle by the mosh pit here. Now he has to belatedly wrap around through elbow. MXS now set up for the retake. Gimon's been able to get that bulldog to hand, and everybody stacks up towards elbow. Oh man, this is about to be carnage. 2 players, 3 players inside elbow for MXS, and these 2 ships are not going to cross into night now. It's a head-on collision. There it is. Mowed down by the superior weaponry of MXS, and that's a proto now to play from hookah once more. Against 3 with good guns, and well, it turns out they've got ordnance as well.
That feels terrible. If you're sitting there as proto, I mean, your whole goal of that is just to be alive and make sure no one wraps back through. And, well, you do your job correctly, but like you mentioned, it's kind of like the Last Samurai in a way, where it's just weapon superiority through and through. I mean, straight blender. No other way of saying it.
Yeah,
that's
I mean, it makes
power
for
of winning the
slow-mo,
pistol.
but history is written by the victors, mate. You know how it is.
Yes, sir. Wow. It's just so tough because it feels like TSM are doing the right things. I mean, in terms of decision-making, I hate to make it sound so simple, but MXS are just winning the individual gunfights that matter the most, whether they be on the initial or some of those heroics. We've seen a couple of the 1v2 moments that just don't feel like there should be possible. And that's been the difference maker in the series. And now TSM are going to be frantic as there is complete isolation towards Poise. Does well to get 1, plus the isolated defender over towards B falls. So TSM should have a plant here for free and a 4v3.
Bear in mind, for the most part, this is a bonus for MXS. It's only Brock really that had to dig into the coffers to fund this round. So they can still go for it. No reason not to go for a 3v4. They will be extremely short on time, but they have Haunt Prowler, Wingman Dizzy still up as well.
And the information gain is going to be limited as well here for MXS. And they're prepared for this full flank. Fly's going to see 1. That's going to be enough for Brock to try to go a little bit quicker. Not going to work out. Follow from Fly is decent. Grapnet will be in place, though, and no problems there for Sim. So, Yamada just trying to do what he can with the remaining time available for this 1v3. Maybe he catches out 1, and yeah, he will, but anything beyond that would be pretty much inexcusable. And Mata will have to just back away, tries to save the weapon, not able to do so. And TSM find themselves back to within 3 with a very successful offensive round.
We do what we do.
Pretty reasonable for MXS, though. They keep that last weapon, I think, Armada, and they're very happy with the outcome of that round. But it's not to be, and Brock has to go on a bit of a lighter buy here. Oh, I mean, the first seconds of this round will be interesting. I think these teams are going to want to fight for some of this all control if they can, especially your Sims and Sevens of the world.
I think the thing here for TSM is, if you do get those ultimates, are you using them on the execute or on the post-plant hold? And Vic, this is cheeky haunt over the top. Are you kidding? That is so damn good. Vic's not even done. He's going to take down another 2. Prowler to follow. And everything that we were trying to frame up to build the narrative for TSM just gets completely tossed out the freaking window.
Yeah, the reality of what has just happened at TSM hits them. The reality of the fact that I get paid to stream chat into a mic over and over also hitting me, and I am feeling pretty darn good. I'm not going to lie. It is all down to points, and MXS have made short work of TSM on this. By the way, buy round for them. Yeah, 3 of their players are really going to struggle for that money come round the next. This is a huge inflection point in this game, and TSM have been able to execute not quite a flawless though for MXS, as Brock is offered up as a burn offering. He did recover a Vandal for one of the Fallen, but that will be that. TSM in the doldrums as MXS continue to put the thumb screws in.
Man, that's just one of those pain points because you're trying to get that execution on, buy the ultimates like we talked about, get an opening, get one of the 2 ults that you were looking for, whether that be something like a Thrash or a Showstopper. And now all of a sudden, the game feels near unwinnable because you're going back to essentially a save round where do you use the ults now to try to keep yourself alive in this? Or are you playing down the face of an 11 tally, maybe even a 12? That's so painful for TSM. It's just as soon as you start to think the round is going to be going your way, the economy and the ultimate advantage goes your way, you're going to get a full gun round where you should win. Maybe it flips the eco around. Now you're down to dire straits in certain regards. And I think this conversation is legitimately not just about what happens in round 18, but they may need to consider, hey, do we invest something here? Try to get an isolated pick and then turn that into the ability to Thrash and Showstopper? Those are winnable ultimates, even with limited buys, but you have to find something first. So a big question mark here in terms of what does TSM commit going into round 17?
I think we've got to talk about it as well. This is, another map where a Proto has not been able to be the anchor player that his team have needed him to be.
Yep.
I think, obviously he was playing Omen on that Icebox game, and there are a lot of reasons why he doesn't get involved in a lot of the action here. But he and Gamon have obviously struggled here to stand their ground.
Satchel out.
And again, this is bind, so you're not exactly expecting to literally hold off the million Persians, right? But you definitely need to get a bit more than this done.
Where are you?
Well, not, just to use the Battle of Thermopylae as the reference point here, you're trying to create those choke points with Deadlock. And I feel like teams that really struggle in being able to control the tempo of the map from the get-go have a hard time finding value out of Deadlock. We've seen it a lot where it's just, okay, you're going to drop your Deadlock utility early. We're just going to avoid it. And now you don't even have a chance to use it off the post plant because you haven't gotten any successful plants, really, if you're TSM.
And TSM somehow have less armor than the Spartans did in that battle.
True.
Especially in that movie. Like, they are loincloth gaming right now.
Goodbye.
Nice.
Flyer has just displayed to us, I think, quite clearly a proto they're losing out, and these Vandals now can start to tear through TSM. They're down to 3, and they did make that investment here. One that lets them buy in the next, to be fair.
Yep.
But it's not really made a mark at all. It is an unscathed, unblemished defending squad awaiting TSM to step up.
It's tough, man. It really is. And I think the thing here, and we're probably going to see it reflected if the game stays this way, in the post-game kind of follow-up, there just has not been enough for TSM to get their post plants together. They have not been successful in getting the spike planted. The Molly even finding value. It just goes from bad to worse that quickly. Now again,
was a C's Molly?
Yeah. Sure was.
Dirty!
Yeah. But again, the thing about this is we at least got our answer in terms of the question that I posed in terms of is TSM going to try to actually go for this round or not? They're looking for picks. Something off of a long angle. If you get those connections, then maybe you turn that into using a showstopper or thrash. It didn't work out, so the round just gets tossed away at in touch. And now we're in must-win territory. The problem is, when you reflect back to the gun round from 2 rounds ago, now all of a sudden MXS have good ultimates at the ready, if not one off. So all those advantages that TSM were looking to build in round 16 have now been essentially neutralized, especially if a showstopper orbital strike can get earned here by MXS, and they're trying to get something here through B long.
Don't forget, TSM had the same problem at the end of Icebox shift. They had 3 good ultimates and never had a chance to use them. In the last 3 rounds, they just never had the setup. All 5 players for TSM stimmed up, ready to throw down. York just gets one and says, yeah, I'm good. I'm peacing out of here. Marta now left. Hopes to buy a little bit of time with a paint shell, but he takes one from his opposite number, is forced away. Showstopper will also exacerbate this. MXS will be forced to syncopate their push here onto the side.
And watch what Proto does here. This is everything. Nightfall's going to be spent, so they can't really hold on to the site, and this is going to be just a flat-out post plant that largely sits over towards Octagon. I mean, they really don't have much in terms of the utility from Proto besides the sensors, so they're really banking that will hopefully open things up around the site, but the problem is first kill is already good by Brock through elbow.
Right, there is a catch here from that attacking thrash. Brock, though, sends one out to slow them up. That detain is going to be shaken off now. Smoke here should be for the site, as Wingman gets on in there. Interrupted, I think, by a mosh pit from the attackers here. 7 and a Proto now. This is a must-win round, as if they all haven't been up to this point. It's 7 who needs to go huge.
Oh, no.
For Flyer, and Brock takes his time, plays with his food a little bit before devouring it. Michelin-style effort for MXS as TSM are on their last legs.
Yeah, it's so tough, man, because the barrier mesh is in a good spot. It forces everyone to have to retake through elbow. There's 2 sensors on either side of the container. You're hoping that locks players in. The grab net, honestly, is perfect from a Proto. The problem is, as the smokes come down, they're trying to spam it out through Octagon, and they don't have the right angle, as Fly was just off to the side on a little bit of a ledge. And I think also, just on top of that, the fact that Brock gets the kill through hookah, it just limits TSM from being able to play the post point the way they want to. They don't get the ability to hold that from the high ground and through the outside of the map. It has to all be from one direction, and that's just not what you want. So now your backs are against the wall. You just have Seekers available, maybe a chance for an Annihilation, but let's be honest, we haven't seen Annihilation find much value generally, let alone in this match.
Not once in this match. Last time, I think, from TSM, we did actually see it work out at least once or twice, but here, no. The Proto waiting for the early aggression that Vic showcased on a one-off round about 4 or 5 rounds ago. Crippling for the attackers this time, though. That is conspicuously absent. Very safe from MXS, waiting for TSM to make the play to give them enough rope to hang themselves.
Yeah, the Seekers are going to be able to at least force back this defense, and yeah, really well done. Follow-up is good, and actually Vic commits the orbital strike a bit surprisingly over towards elbow, or probably this back charge position for Brock to follow up on it. And yeah, they find the kill, but honestly, it doesn't really provide the value that you were anticipating. So now TSM 4v3 have a really deep post plant in a lot of different angles that could be very difficult for MXS to clear.
No reason for MXS not to challenge this. Look at their bank. Full to the brim. Grab net. A little bit awkward. Gonna get caught here as 7 backs away. Gimon, though, wants to play a bit more aggressively. Sim was picked off earlier on. That was Mud able to take him now, getting on top of the truck. Gimon spotted out. Otoshima able to trade. 2 guns remaining on TSM. Decent economic damage here done by MXS, but it won't be a round or a map that they take away.
Yeah, good stuff. And that's what we need to start seeing from TSM. I hate to say it, but it feels like it's a day late and a dollar short for sure. But those types of executes is what we need. The ability to hit from multiple points of ingress, push off MXS, get them deeper into the site, get your setup perfectly placed. Get the plant down safely, have a dynamic post plant that isn't just in one direction or another, it's all over the map. Force this MXS retake to be tested. And it makes life a little bit more difficult when a Proto still stays alive and can drop things like the sensors, the grav nets, all of the reactionary utility to make that defense really stay planted. And that was what we needed to see from a couple of rounds prior. And to be fair, it's not like we can point to one player or another. Yeah, Proto has been limited in terms of value on the deadlock, but across the board, I mean, Sim is kind of dragging TSM around right now. 24 and 18, the kills have been great. It's just the follow-up off of the utility has been denied, mostly off the fact that Flya has been absolutely insane with finding haunts, seizes, and prowlers that are not just landing, they're finding so much free information for MXS to pick apart players through smokes in particular. That's been the most incredible part.
Right, if Marta's not just generating free first kills for you, then Flya's almost guaranteeing you can get them off of that util. We saw it in the first half, right? The constant Prowler presence towards showers. TSM never could be sure it was really cleared. Now, of course, it takes on a different complexion, whereas it's info gaining for the defenders to make the correct stacks here. But looks like an A hit set up for TSM. Showers presence may be a little staggered. Guiding light, though, will tell TSM of presence in that part of the map.
Yeah, Haunt is also thrown over the top, though, so it's mutual. Everything will stay pretty much even through the middle of the map. The big thing here is, can you get deep clearance for TSM on this attack by way of things like the orbital strike? That's kind of what I'm looking at right now. You've got all 3 smokes. You can place those deep. You can separate. You can drop the orbital strike into showers. If you catch good info, that should set up a really solid post plant pending and find success.
Up comes Sim. Next man up mentality here for TSM. He's going to have to go big here because, Marta again. Freebie. Always a freebie. Gets ahead of the orbital strike, and Gimon wasn't ready for that. A Proto also going to fall. Marta working him down. 2 versus 2. There was Brook. Sends that wingman over to the side. Would have loved to have moved in the U-Haul here, but the paint shells were well placed by Sim to dissuade that. Boys vomited on. As a father, I know all about that. You shake it off, buddy. Could be Otoshima rotating back over towards the A side here. We are still pre-plant, though. TSM have to make the move.
And this is a problem here for TSM because you know that this heaven position is likely to be the rotate is for Brock. He just needs to confirm the info. Yep, both players are here. So now you just wait for Otoshima to come around the back. And you can see Sim doesn't know what to look at right now. Stressful moments for TSM in this 2v2.
He's not checking the flank at all here. That's the one key thing. They're checking vents. They're checking showers.
One enemy
opening.
remaining.
Huge damage. They're not ready for the flank. It's going to be Sim now. 86 points of health to work with, but Otoshima ends it here and now. Not just a map win, but a series take for MXS, a 2-0. What a decisive way to shake off this 2-2 malaise.
Man, that's going to be a really frustrating series for TSM to look back on. I think that, again, they didn't play poorly whatsoever. This just felt like the MXS that we expected to see after what had happened through the midseason. Haven't had a chance to see it too much. The loss of Turtle Troop is, excusable, I would say. The one versus Sad, definitely not excusable, I think, in a lot of people's minds. But the recovery, their ability to get back to what they know, the double initiator comps, has worked out so darn well. And again, I think when we come back from the eventual break here, Mitch, I think the post-plant reflection is going to be absolutely a 1-for-1 to how successful TSM were in not just finding post-plant success in their own, but their ability to stop TSM from even planting in the first place. It's just one of those situations that I think TSM came together with a decent game plan, but flat out, the value we're getting from Flya in both maps, unbelievable. It's just the Prowlers, so much value. The Haunts, so much value. They're finding kills through smokes. It just felt like the opening 45 seconds of these rounds continued to trend in favor of MXS from start to finish.
That Fly's KO play on Icebox I thought was spectacular. The amount of info it really gave them on defense, those 0 points, always spotting out the triple stack, headed over towards the B side. And now here, I think the fade play is being incredible. And you can see why that Gecko fade comp is so sought after by so many teams. They're really able to get a ton of value out of it. Great stuff here from Vic as well. He continues to develop, and tough post-plant stats here for TSM. They were always a little bit volatile here, but I think the most damning part is that first kill ratio. And TSM, again, unable, Dan, to sort of convert on having so many more of these first kills in these rounds, which is shocking to me because I just feel like there were so many freebies off this, fade util that I thought MXS would have more first kills, honestly.
That's the thing, right? Where because the whole game from map 1 to this, I think especially the second map, you see Moist Shopify have full control of the game and the way that they were going for these executes, that they were denying that space that TSM was trying to take. They were denying that map control. It was something that was happening constantly. And this is the Moist Shopify that we know and talk about, right? The one that knows how to control the pace, knows how to control the game, and gives zero opportunities for TSM, especially because on the other side, you have so many amazing players like Sim that often find the value. So it's just some teams that are really good at denying that and making sure that, you can't get away with it. And even then, I mean, you see Sim and all the kills that he got 27, was trying to turn this around, but it was still just that team effort from Moist Shopify that was greater. Map number 1, map number 2. I mean, in the second half, it was a little bit more of the same, right? Only 2 rounds that TSM was able to get shift. So, I mean, this is the Moist Shopify that we want to see.
Yeah, and it's the one that we came to know. I know I've said it a handful of times, but them playing with this level of aggression, their ability to hit the trigger and know what utility is going to be thrown where, it just feels right, so to speak. And I think the thing too is, at a map like Icebox, you add more flashes to the mix, that just makes those executions that much more certain. Here on this map, it's good information gathering with the Prowlers, perfect dissection of the site by Vic with the smokes, and then Brock can just get to work throwing out Dizzy's, Wingmans, and Moshes. It's just so repeatable. I think that's the biggest thing for MXS. This was a map that felt a little bit more orthodox in the way of there weren't as many cheeky push-ups, not as many trap plays. It was pretty much what you see is what you get. And when that continues to work like that, MXS become a very deadly force playing these double initiator style comps.
Yeah, is that slight change that you add the fade, you add a couple ideas to how you want to get that information early on, how you want to work around with that information with the initiators, and just like that, you get the win. That is the win for Moist Shopify. We're going to throw it to a quick break, and when we come back, we have an interview.
Last player, one enemy remaining. 10 seconds left. Spike planted. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
Enemy down.
Got 3.
Done.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Spike down A. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Blood. 30 seconds left. Last player standing. 30 seconds left. One enemy remaining. One enemy.
Moist Shopify, they just take the win against TSM in a 2-0 fashion. And now it is the time for the interview. I'm joined with Vic for what is going to be this post-match interview. And Vic, congratulations on this win. I want to talk about, first of all, of what has been the back and forth kind of growth that we've seen for the side of Moist Shopify, where you win a match, you lose one, and what happened last match against Sad that you were able to fix today to win in such a clean fashion?
I think we were... I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think today, and now that we're on boot camp, we've been finding our groove again, and we've been playing together a lot more. I think in the SAT and other matches that we lost, we were playing very individual, and I think we've kind of fixed it. We talked about it, and I think moving forward, you'll be seeing this type of Moist Shopify.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about, the Moist Shopify that we know and love because of how good you guys are at closing and making the game your own. I want to ask about the slight changes that we saw. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was the Reyna we got the chance to see on Icebox, and then the Fade that you guys added onto the bind composition. Can you tell us the reasoning behind these?
I think it's just player comfortability. I think Adam or Mata just enjoys playing Reyna, and in scrims we've played against different comps. We've experimented with different stuff, and I think we just like different things in general, and we just want to switch it up. So I think that's the reason behind it.
And you mentioned meta a little bit, so I want to ask, everybody's talking about this new meta where people are saying, yeah, the duelist has to play the Neon, has to play the ISO. What is the mentality that Moist Shopify has on, you know, adding the Neon or the ISO or whatever else, especially knowing that meta is such a good Raze and Jet?
I think, like I said, the other question, I think, is just comfortability. I think what Adam wants, he can play, and I think he's such a talented player where it doesn't really matter what agent he plays. I think just comfortability and us helping him get the entries that he wants and do the plays that he wants to do.
And I want to ask you now for my last question, because you're 3-2 right now, so you've been getting a couple wins. Mostly those wins you're trying to end positive with that 4-2. What are the expectations for what is going to be at that last match, and also what is going to be what we can see next for Moist Shopify as we approach the end of the year?
I think we want to win, of course, against M80. We've been waiting for this match all year long, pretty much. I think we want to get that win just so we get confidence into playoffs. I think we're going to do our best, and we're going to come in swinging. I think from now on out, like from here on out, I think we're going to play to our best, and we're not going to lose.
All right. The expectations are high for Moist Shopify. Vic, congratulations once again on this win. I'm going to let you go, and for that match that we have, that second match is going to be SAT against Core, so make sure you stay tuned. We'll be right back.
They say in life, there are no guarantees. They say a lot of stuff like that. Slow it down. Play it safe. Hedge your bets. So what? You gonna listen to that? You gonna stop because they can't guarantee you'll pull this off? No guarantee you'll win? No guarantee everything's gonna be fine? In life, you make your own guarantees. Nobody else will light your way. Start your own fire and keep it burning. And we guarantee you'll have one hell of a lifetime.
face.